image that we have when we think of passenger convenience is not at all an unattractive one. It is an image of high-performance equipment. Equipment which might well rebel if required to provide passenger convenience where it's really needed. The grand total of walking done by passengers inside the 10 major airports in 1958 would equal 100 trips across the country, plus 20 walks around the world, plus 4.5 round-trip treks to the moon. If there exists an average passenger of the 48 million that will enplane this year, he will walk from his parked car about 650 feet to the ticketing counter, and from the ticketing counter about 950 feet to the aircraft. This adds up to about 5 times the length of a football field. It also approximates the distance covered by the average interchange passenger. But this is nothing compared to the opportunities for a stroll that will be offered by some of the larger terminals now under consideration. Necessary spreading of facilities to accommodate equipment has given the old hikes new dimensions. Up and down ramps, along corridors, in and out of doors, and loaded with hand luggage. Walks, which were once filled with romantic anticipation of adventure, will become more and more irritating as the high-speed flights come into service. These distances, these walks, how did they get this way? In the beginning, both the equipment and the facilities were at the human scale. There was a close relationship between the aircraft, the public, and the offices. Then offices grew towers, and aprons developed gates. Gates were pushed out to become fingers. Fingers became enclosed and multiplied. Within this same general framework, we find representative airports like Philadelphia, St. Louis, Dallas, Washington, and Detroit. Now, fingers are developing departure lounges. Space requirements of jets are increasing gate distances. Jets have also brought the telescoping gangplank. As additional fingers become necessary, the sub-terminal develops. A unit terminal plan begins to surround the parking, and we find the airport surrounding the terminal. It is this spread-out form that the Washington International Airport is apt to take if treated as a decentralized finger system. This port of entry to the nation's capital will be the first airport in the world developed from the beginning to accommodate a high percentage of jets. In scale, it becomes a new kind of beast. The present national airport could fit in the infield. Compare it with the city of Washington itself. The distance from the Capitol down the Mall, beyond the Washington Monument, and past the reflecting pool is the length of one runway. This is also the total length of the buildings and fingers in the terminal alone, 2 miles. But along with the dramatic change in size come other factors which make the finger system seem impractical for jet planning. The bewildering maze of buildings and passages, the serious problems of fumes and noise and blast, the handling of service equipment, and a desperate need for flexibility and latitude. All these factors suggest removing the aircraft from the terminal or any of its extensions and grouping the planes around special service blocks, which will be fed from underground. What is now required is that some part of the terminal building be able to detach itself and move out to the aircraft. It would seem that this might best be the departure lounge itself, the same lounge which developed as a swelling on the fingers and which can now be removed from the 8,000 feet of fingers and formed into a compact and accessible group. By this move, 11,000 lineal feet of building are reduced to a structure approximately 1,000 feet long. The gates are now in a row, grouped according to the airlines they serve. The posted time may be the time the lounge closes. It would open perhaps 15 minutes earlier. Passengers enter through ample doors, make themselves comfortable. There's plenty of room for hand luggage. The checked baggage has been taken and the ticketing done just inside the entrance. The gate to the departure lounge lies just beyond. The early arrival can spend time and money in the concessions, right up until the last minute. As the lounge moves from terminal to aircraft, the passengers find themselves in a spacious room, isolated from fumes and noise. And those interested in operations can sit forward in the observation section. Once freed from the building, the departure lounge can move anywhere. Originating flights can even be boarded at the hangar, from which the aircraft can move directly to the takeoff runway. In the lounge, the passenger has started his trip and can be ferried to the aircraft wherever it is most convenient from an operation standpoint. Through flights will be grouped around the centralized operation units, which are easily accessible to the runways and from which the planes will receive fuel and other services. The larger planes will be fed by pairs of lounges, reducing transfer time to a minimum. The approach is made under controlled conditions. The pneumatic contact unit moves out and forms a sealed passage. Doors of lounge and plane are opened and the transfer effected. The mobile lounge will perhaps be best known for its convenience and its feeling of luxury. But a very substantial part of its value will come from the freedom and flexibility it gives to airport planning. In the evolution of these operations, there is a high probability that something like the mobile lounge will be servicing quite a few of the conveyances that are yet to come along.